3 years ago, I buried my husband, Alan, and began living a lie, not one that harmed others, but one that shielded me. It was a quiet disguise, woven from thrift store cardigans, a modest apartment, and the image of a widow barely scraping by. My name is Helen Bradford, and for 3 years, I wore this armor to see who would value me as a person and who would see me as a burden. It was a Tuesday morning when my son Eric called, his voice taut despite his attempt at casualness. "Mom, would you like to come for dinner on Friday? Vanessa's making her famous lasagna." Famous? Vanessa's culinary skills were questionable at best, but I'd learned to hold my tongue. "Sounds lovely, sweetheart. What time?" I replied. 7:30, he said, pausing. "And Mom, maybe dress a little nicer. You know how Vanessa likes things presentable." That word stung, but I swallowed it. In the hallway mirror, I saw my reflection. Gray hair in a bun, no makeup, a worn cardigan. Invisible, exactly as I'd planned. For 3 years, every choice was deliberate. The small apartment, paid in full. The old clothes, a costume. The quiet, a strategy. My real car sat in a garage across town, my wealth hidden in trusts and accounts nobody knew about. That Friday dinner wasn't just another strained evening. I sensed it from Eric's hesitation. Something was coming, and I was ready to shed my disguise. The October air was crisp as I walked 6 blocks to Eric and Vanessa's house. I could have driven, but the walk reinforced the image, a tired widow doing her best. Their house, my wedding gift to them, titled under a secret trust, looked unchanged. Same wreath, same flower boxes. Eric greeted me with a quick hug, his smile not reaching his eyes. Inside, Vanessa emerged in a tight black dress, her platinum curls perfect. "Helen, we're just plating up. I hope you like lasagna," she said, her tone brittle. Her eyes scanned my worn shoes and faded sweater. The dining room was a stage, polished china, gleaming wine glasses, except for my place setting. A chipped plate, a mismatched glass, a bent fork. Subtle, deliberate. I sat where Eric pointed, farthest from them. Vanessa served her uneven lasagna, boasting it was her grandmother's recipe. I said it was delicious because that's what mothers do. Dinner was stilted. Eric talked about work, Vanessa about yoga and furniture. I listened, noticing their glances, their sighs, their performance of generosity. They thought they knew me. That was their mistake. 20 minutes in, the air shifted. Vanessa dabbed her lips, preparing to speak. Eric cleared his throat. "Mom, we wanted to talk about something." I set down my fork. "Go on." Vanessa leaned forward, her concern rehearsed. "Helen, we're worried about you. That tiny apartment, barely getting by, it's not sustainable." I tilted my head. "I manage fine." She pressed on. "You don't have a car. Your clothes are worn. It's been 3 years since Alan passed. You need purpose." Eric nodded, avoiding my eyes. Vanessa smiled. "We were thinking maybe a job. Something simple, like greeting at Walmart." The silence was heavy. After building a multi-state business with Alan, negotiating contracts, and managing payroll, this woman, who'd never held a job longer than a month, thought I should wear a name tag for minimum wage. Not because I needed money, but because she wanted me diminished. "You think I need purpose?" I asked. She nodded. "Independence, self-respect." I smiled thinly. "And a blue vest will give me that?" She laughed nervously. "It's better than relying on Eric." The irony burned. I hadn't asked for a cent since Alan's funeral. Every struggle they pitted was my choice. "Is that what you think I am? A burden?" I whispered. Vanessa glanced at Eric, who stayed silent. That hurt most. I stood, my voice steady. "Thank you for dinner." The lasagna was exactly what I expected. I paused at the door. "Oh, and Vanessa, you might want to update your resume." Her mouth opened, but I left without explaining. The storm was coming. 3 days later, Eric called. "Mom, can we talk?" I invited him over. He'd never visited my apartment, always deterred by Vanessa. Now he agreed. I brewed his favorite coffee, hid my financial documents, and changed into something modest but neat. When he arrived, he scanned the small space, thrifted furniture, thin curtains. "This place is depressing," he said. I smiled, pouring coffee. "I splurge occasionally." We sat at my kitchen table. He looked soul-tired. About Friday, Vanessa's upset. She thinks you threatened her. I met his gaze. What do you think? He hesitated. I think something's going on with you. I reached for a manila folder. Eric, there's something I need to show you. His hands trembled as he flipped through account summaries, property deeds, trusts. Mom, what is this? He whispered. This, I said, is who I really am. Why let us believe you were struggling? He asked, hurt. I needed to know who would love me if I had nothing to offer, I said. You were testing us? I shook my head, protecting myself. He rubbed his face. From what? I paused. From people like Vanessa. People who only smile when they think you're useful. He admitted he'd ignored Vanessa's sharpness. I asked when she'd last shown me warmth. He had no answer. What happens now? He asked. I study my son, the boy who once brought me wildflowers. Now, we find out if there's still time for the truth. That Friday, I returned to their house, my house, wearing a navy dress, pearls, and heels. No disguise. Eric's eyes widened. Vanessa, dressed to impress, narrowed hers. In the living room, she demanded, why lie? What kind of person pretends to be poor? I replied, the kind who wants to see clearly. I revealed her lies, telling neighbors I was senile, inquiring about guardianship to control my assets. Eric's jaw tightened. You tried to take her money, he said to her. Vanessa snapped. She doesn't need it. I pulled out the deed. This house belongs to me. You've been my guest for 7 years. Her face paled. You need to leave, Vanessa. Tonight. She protested, claiming tenant rights. You're not a tenant, I said. You never paid rent. I gave her 30 minutes. She stormed upstairs, shouting. Eric, stunned, said softly, pack your things, Vanessa. She left in rage, her reign over. Days later, Eric stayed with a friend, grappling with Vanessa's betrayal. When he visited, he thanked me for saving him. There's someone new, he said. Rachel. She's different, kind, real. I smiled. Lead with who you are, not what you have. 6 months later, I stood on my penthouse terrace, wine in hand, the city glowing below. I'd sold the house, giving Eric the proceeds, no conditions, just a gift. Vanessa faced jail, probation, and a no-contact order. Eric and I were rebuilding, slowly, truthfully. I met Rachel, a third-grade teacher who laughed freely, and split the check. She makes me feel enough, Eric said. I told him, real love reminds you who you are. I was no longer the grieving widow or the helpless mother-in-law. I was Helen Bradford, businesswoman, survivor, mother. I traveled, donated, lived openly. The truth had cost us, but it gave us a second chance. People reveal themselves when they think you have nothing left. Silence can be your greatest power. What would you do in my place? Share your thoughts below. If this story resonates, pass it on. You're not a burden. You're the foundation.